I talked about what's going on in Syria. So just give a kind of brief update. I think everybody knows that this has kind of been an ongoing, basically civil war situation there for a little while. The death toll is shockingly high right now. It's really horrific. Um, and it's looking like it's pretty likely that the Assad government has been using chemical weapons, which is what President Obama had said was the red line for us getting more actively involved in Syria. So now there's a big push from a lot of voices that you would expect saying that it's time for us to to intervene much more directly and aggressively in Syria. Most of these people don't exactly say what they really mean by that, but the implications are pretty clear. And Bill Kristol, who is for some reason still talking about news and about foreign policy, even though he's the most blunderous and stupid foreign policy thinker of the last several decades. You know, Bill Kristol made his biggest recent mark is pushing for the invasion of Iraq. We all know what a disaster that was. Do they hire people on ESPN who are completely failed sports coaches who have nothing but losing records and are wrong about everything to comment on the teams and to comment on NBA playoffs and draft picks? It's completely ludicrous and nonsensical that he's talking to begin with. But anyways, he was talking, and let's just play what he said because it's kind of unbelievable.
As Amy and Fritz said, this is not a president who wants to start another war. That's the way he sees it. I think it's totally irresponsible for an American president to have that. No one wants to start wars, but you've got to do what you've got to do. And it doesn't really matter if the public is at 39% or 60%. I mean, really, this is what's happening in Syria is a very serious matter. I mean, the spillover effects, leaving aside 75,000 people killed, which incidentally at one point in time, liberals and Democrats cared about. There once was a liberal internationalist wing of the Democratic Party.
Okay, so there you have it, folks. You're not serious unless you want to go to war, which is, of course, why George W. Bush was this unbelievably serious president.
Who cares what the people think? We have to bring freedom to Syria.
I'm trying to be serious. And serious times call for seriously blunderous and stupid action.
Serious times.
Serious. Well, look. But let's break this down here. So, look. Bill Kristol never obviously saw a foreign intervention that he didn't want a part of. And the argument that Republicans and people like Kristol are making is that now that President Obama, his red line that he identified with use of chemical weapons has been crossed, he needs to back that up with action or it's going to kind of undermine the credibility of the United States. Now, and then that there's this serious humanitarian catastrophe there, which is true. There is a serious humanitarian catastrophe, and I think we could be doing more from a humanitarian perspective for Syria. But let's look. But presumably, the real thing that comes back to for all of these guys is this fear of Islamic radicalism and radical Islamic movements in the Middle East. Let's look at Senator Lindsey Graham, who's also advocating that President Obama intervene more aggressively and somewhat militarily in Syria. He said, "There's nothing you can do in Syria without risk, but the greatest risk is a failed state with chemical weapons falling at the hands of radical Islamists, and they're pouring in to Syria." Now, that's Lindsey Graham, who, of course, never, saw, also like Bill Kristol, never saw a foreign intervention he wasn't interested in doing. Now, what's the problem with that? We're in a situation now where this rebel alliance that's fighting Assad is made up of many different factions, including the initial kind of wave of spontaneous uprising against what is an incredibly brutal and horrific regime of the Assad government. But there's also a group called the Al-Nusra Front and other factions fighting in Syria who are basically, they're al-Qaeda affiliates. They've been using suicide bombings and other modern terrorist tactics in the war against Assad. So as Lindsey Graham is whining about the danger of chemical weapons getting into al-Qaeda's hands, he's saying we need to do more to flood weapons in and intervene on behalf of factions that are connected to exactly these groups who he says we need to make sure chemical weapons don't get into their hands. I mean, The lack of rationality here is just stunning. And the lack of learning anything from Iraq, from all of these interventions, even from the way the Obama administration has escalated drone warfare in Pakistan and how that's destabilized Pakistan even more than it was to begin with, how it's poisoned our relations with them even more than it was to begin with, is unbelievable. And it's also unbelievable that Bill Kristol and all of these people who have been nothing but wrong and nothing but disastrous are still coming out and talking about this and are still looked on as credible and important foreign policy voices. It's just unbelievably ludicrous. I think maybe the answer was, honestly, in the beginning of the uprising when it first turned militarily, I think the Obama administration maybe should have done a better job at directly supplying arms and support to different factions of this rebel movement that are more secular, that are more that again are rooted in a spontaneous uprising against Assad, but they subcontracted it to Saudi Arabia and to Qatar, who really don't have a problem with money going to very, very extremist groups, because that kind of fits with their regional ambitions more. But so it's a complicated situation, but in any complicated situation, you can always count on incredibly stupid analysis from Bill Kristol and people like that.
That's true.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking about Bill Kristol here.
We're talking about Bill Kristol. It's unbelievable. Let's see.
It would have been more shocking if we didn't have a video like this after this weekend.
Yeah.
If we didn't have him saying something.
Oh, of course. Of course. Well, and it's also just, think about the premise of that that it's irresponsible for a president to not be a warmonger. I mean, what kind of an upside down, bizarre planet are we still living in? Even after that whole worldview has just been debunked in real time by absolutely horrific humanitarian and security consequences across the world. And yet they're still out there.